Are you looking for a video magnifier with a larger screen, but is also foldable and portable? How about something that's super powerful, has a great image, but is also simple to use? Well, let me tell you more about the CloverBook Plus XL. We'll do a deep dive coming up next.
Welcome to Irie-AT, Braille and Vision.
So let's start out by looking at the physical features of the device. First of all, it's foldable and portable. All I have to do is fold in the screen, push it down, and take it on my way. Weighs about 9 pounds, I think, something like that. It's a little bit more than the CloverBook, the regular CloverBooks, but you get this big 16-inch screen, so it's quite worth it. Another thing I like to point out on all the CloverBook models, you have a user replaceable, user rechargeable battery. So all I have to do is I just press this button on the bottom underneath the screen. I can take the battery out. There is a separate charger that you can get, separate batteries, so you can keep this baby running all day. It runs about 5 hours on the battery, but with additional ones, you can just be going without any interruption at all. I'll flip this back over. I'll show you a couple other things on the device itself. On the top, we have a USB port. That'll be for importing USB information from a USB stick. You also have an SD card slot on the side for importing or exporting documents onto an SD card. And I'll show you the other buttons and the other things as we get going. But the last thing to show you physically is this cool new feature that is on the XL models. You can now just pull the screen forward and it actually tilts, so you can have the camera at a different angle, have this up here, really get in there and see what you're doing, and still have a whole lot of room for writing, doing whatever else. It's a great new feature on the XL models to have this tilt screen. It's very cool. Really easy. Stays in whatever position you want. If you want to stand up and use it still, you can do that, whatever. And it does have the tilt compensation, so if you have it at an angle, you're going to still get straight text if you choose that in the menu. All right, so let's go ahead and fire this up. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to plug in the power cable. It plugs in just below the power button, which is on the left stand leg up there. And when I plug it in, I'm going to get a green light that comes on in the power button, and that's going to tell me that I'm charging. When that goes out, I know that it's charged and ready to go. To turn on the device, I'm just going to press the power button. Hold that down for a couple seconds. The green light will come on and the SightCare Irie-AT splash screen comes up. And then we're ready to start having some fun with this guy. Get some reading material under here. All right, so first off, we can just put some reading material under there. And then if I want to adjust the screen position, I can move this around, move it up and down, get a nice amount of space for writing or whatever I want to do under there. But then if I can't see it because of the angle, I just pull the screen up and there I go. Change the contrast to something I can actually see. So let's just go through the buttons that we have. Starting on the left side, we have the SD card input, and then just below that, toward the corner of the bottom of the screen, we're going to have a little gray button. And that is going to switch our cameras. So when I press that, it's going to switch to distance camera. Let's see if I can get that in view of the cameras. Switch back to color. There's a couple different ways you can zoom out. I'll show you that in a minute. Oh, we're looking way over there. Let's look over across the room here. I've got a little award. And now you can do a lot with this camera. You can twist it, you can turn it, I can turn it around, it goes into mirror view. Oh, sorry folks. It's a very versatile camera. This pops out the side of it, and then I can view things across the room or view myself. So I'm gonna zoom in on that, and you can see things that I can barely detect are words I can now almost read. And now this is kind of far away and small. So when I switch to a reading mode, I'm going to lose some of it. So I'll show you how you can hold down the contrast.
Contrast adjust.
And change that. So you see now it's all come into focus, and I can
finish.
And I can actually read what's happening on this tiny little sign across the room. Pretty cool. And then when I change that back, I'll just hold down the contrast button again.
Contrast adjust.
Move it to green, and then it'll be more of the contrast
finish.
that I normally want. All right, so I'll press
New view.
Press that button again, go back to near view, and now on the far left corner I have lines and blinds.
Line mask on.
That'll give me vertical, horizontal, vertical blinds, horizontal blinds, and I can adjust those just by holding down the lines and blinds button and then move them with the joystick or expand or contract them. And they all work that way. You just move it left or right to expand or move it, or up and down to expand and move it. Okay. Then you
line mask off.
Press it again, the line mask goes off. By the way, that voice menu, if that's annoying to you, you can turn that off in the settings. We'll get to that in just a minute. So now I'm going to press the home button. It's the next one. It's on the far left of the front panel. And that's where I can control my lighting. I can control my screen brightness. I can turn on and off the lights individually, or I can turn them off altogether.
All lights off.
So depending on your environment, you can adjust the lighting how it suits you.
All lights on.
I'll press that again, get rid of that menu. Now if I long press that home button, what that does is that brings me into the main menu. So I can get to my live magnification, I can open documents, import, export documents, and I can get to my settings. So let's go and open a document.
Open. Memory.
Okay, and if I had an SD card or a USB stick in there, those would not be grayed out. I'd be able to select them. For now, I'm in the internal memory.
Picture.
Go to picture, I've got something stored in there. And I've got a voice label on that. I'll show you how to use that a little later on when I show you how to save images. But that's how you get in and you retrieve your images. And then you can, of course, you can export those to a USB stick or an SD card, or import them from a USB stick or an SD card. Okay, so the next thing on the main menu is settings.
Setting. Option page.
Okay, so I have three options along here. There's a wrench, a guy talking, and a little factory. And in my color mode combination, I can go into this and I can select the different colors, but I'm going to show you a different way to get into that menu that's more convenient, I think. You can turn on and off voice labeling, you can use power saving or not, have the touchscreen operate as a touchscreen or not. There's tilt compensation to keep from getting Star Wars kind of text when you change the camera angle. And then also, if you don't want the speech guide to be on, you can turn that off.
Voice setting page.
Then you also have voice settings where you can change the gender, you can change the language, and well, you can change the gender and the language. Now last up,
factory setting page.
We have the factory setting. Now you mess everything up, you want it all to go back the way it was when it first got to your house, you just reset it and it will go back. You can also change the power frequency if you're traveling to a different area and you need that. And now the coolest thing about this is that the Plus model here has a simplified interface if you want it. If you have someone who really needs to have it, just the basic features work on the device and not have other things that can trip them up, then you just select this. I'm going to press on standard.
User interface simple.
And the user interface now changed to simple. It even automatically grayed out. Now I can't change voice settings and do other things. When I get out of this menu, the only buttons that are going to work, I'm going to be able to change the contrast and I'm going to be able to change the size. I can pan and zoom and do basic viewing things, but you're not going to be saving images, turning on lines and blinds, doing anything else that can be confusing. And even to get into the settings takes kind of a long press, and it's not something someone's going to do accidentally. So the simplified setting really helps make it simple and easy for people that are having difficulty with technology. I'll turn that back to standard.
User interface standard.
Okay, now let's get out of here. I'll hit magnifier.
Magnifier. New view.
I like some contrast. Okay, so there's a few different ways we can use this. It's a contrast wheel and it's a knob. So I'm going to turn it, and that's going to cycle through my different contrast options. And I like this approach because, you know, if you want to keep a lot on there, but your favorite one, you go through, you miss it, oh shoot, I wanted that one. You don't have to keep pressing the button, go through all of them again. You just turn back. Turn back, oh, I missed the ones I want, there we go. You can go back and forth between them. Even better, you're gonna, in a lot of cases, you're gonna want to view something in color. So when I get to this photograph here, I want that in color. So it's real convenient to just have also a button on here. So it's not just turning to change the contrast colors. All I have to do is tap a button, and that'll change between my reading mode and my color viewing mode. So here I'm checking out a photo, press the button, and I'm back to reading. Just real easy. Now, if it's still too complicated, or I don't want all these different colors and things in there, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to hold down the button I pressed to move between color and contrast mode.
Customized color combination.
And this is going to open up a menu, one I showed you was accessible from the settings. And now I can just press things, and it turns them on or off. So if I only want a couple, I can just leave a couple. If I only want one, I can leave one. If I want all of them as options, whatever, it's real easy to change that, turn them on and off. And now I'm going to back out of there and move on to the joystick wheel. So this has some cool functions. It moves me around in different menus, but it also has a function in my reading mode. If I want to move to different parts of the reading, I don't have to physically move the reading material all the time. Anything that the camera can see, I can just zoom around with this thing, with the little joystick. How cool. I can go back and forth, I can go up and down. Just makes it a lot easier, a lot more ergonomic to have the controls right there and not have to move your reading material all the time. So that kind of moves me over to the zoom wheel. The next one over to the right, this is going to be your standard zoom wheel. You can turn that and it will make things bigger or smaller. But we also have a touchscreen. So I can pinch and zoom, and I can even do what the joystick was doing. I can even pan around in the text. Real intuitive to read on this device. You just pinch and zoom at what you want to see and move it around with your finger. Now, if you like to use a zoom wheel, another neat feature that it has is I can press it down.
Locate on.
So that gives me a locate. So I say, oh, I want to start at the top of the top of this story. So I move the locate box over, and I'm going to
locate off.
Press it again, and then I get zoomed in exactly to that spot. So a few different ways that you can pinch and zoom. You can use the zoom wheel to change the magnification and move around in the text without ever even touching the reading material. And then the last thing we have is a back button that moves you back in menus if you don't want to touch the screen icons, if you like to have physical controls. So on the far corner, we have a orange button, and that's going to do our freeze frame or save images. I'll show you. So I want to save something, or I just want to freeze something, I'm just going to press that button.
Image.
It'll freeze it on there, and now it doesn't matter how I move, I'm going to get to keep that image. Now I'll press it again.
Live image.
Little orange or little green lock comes up, and now I know I am back in my life. Plus, when I move my material, it moves. So now I'm going to long press that orange button.
Image saved.
Now that's going to save it, and I can put on a voice memo. I'm putting on a voice memo because it's fun. Yay, yay. And now one note there is you do have a little microphone there, so if you want it to be clear, speak down into the microphone. I'm putting on a voice memo because it's fun. Yay, yay. Okay, now that we've saved an image, let me show you how we can retrieve the images that we have saved on here. So I'm going to long press the home button. That'll take us into the main menu, and now I can just hit open.
Open.
Okay, so I'm gonna hit picture now.
Picture.
And that brings me into my different saved images. Now conveniently they have these tags on them so I can tell the ones that have voice labels, and that way if I have some are a menu or some are a recipe or some are, you know, a part of a textbook or whatever else, it's really easy to tell them all apart. I just have to tap on the little sound indicator on here and it'll tell me what it is. I'm putting on a voice memo because it's fun. Yay, yay. So you see that's what I had said earlier, just on there tagged. Probably you'd want to put something more useful than that, but it's very helpful to have those voice labels to distinguish what's there and not just try to tell from these thumbnails that we have on here. Particularly as you get a lot of images, it's a nice way to distinguish. So now I can just press the return icon, get back to
Magnifier. New view.
back to my live magnification. Okay, so keep moving around here. The next button we have is the autofocus lock button, a little gray button just above the freeze frame button. So I'm going to press that, and
Autofocus locked.
and it's going to tell me, and it's going to give me some orange indicators around the corners that tell me that I'm on focus lock. So now when I'm writing under here, it's going to keep focusing on the reading material and not on whatever's closest to the camera, so that I can write and not lose my focus. So now I press it again.
Autofocus unlocked.
Autofocus is off, and then I can, from that point, everything that's closer to the camera comes into focus. See how it loses the focus on that? So just that way you can move the camera up and down and it'll autofocus for you. But if you want to keep that focus locked on there for writing, that's a great little handy button to have. And then just above that button we have a plus and minus button that is for changing the volume, and then also you have a headphone jack for privacy. All right, now that we've had fun using the CloverBook Plus XL, it's time to put it away. Luckily that's real easy. First thing I do is I just hold down the power button. It's going to give me two options. I can either touch on the screen or I can tap power button again to move between them. I can sleep or put it power down. Shows in power down, got a little happy smiley face. Tilt in the screen, push back the main screen body, and just fold it down, and I'm on my way. Super handy. Also have a protective carry case that comes with it. Nice hardish case. And lift it up. The case has little notches in it, so there's really only one way to put it in. Put it in there, zip it up, take it on your way. So thanks for joining us for today's video on the CloverBook Plus XL. If you'd like more information about the CloverBook Plus XL, reach out to us at Irie-AT. Make sure to subscribe to the Irie-AT YouTube channel for more great videos on the latest in low vision and Braille products.